Fletcher's book was quite a large and like a beast to break down, but it was really good for breaking down the conversation of barbarians in a way that I really haven't come into contact with before. First, Fletcher makes such well defined distinctions between the different barbarian people and this incredibly important study on the evolution of conversion to Christianity during that time. I feel as though historians sometimes fall into a trap of thinking about the area around present day Germany as the only place where conversion of barbarian kingdoms happened. But this does not give credit to people such as the Vikings or further Eastern European people. The stories in this book span such a wide time frame and are so different from one another that it's safe to assert that the conversion of the barbarians is not something that was pushed for a couple of years and then complete. It lasted hundreds of years. Additionally, the way that Fletcher engaged his sources was very candid with the reader, making it more possible for the readers to trust arguments made in the book. An example of this is when discussing the Vikings. Fletcher mentions the primary sources that can be pulled about them are largely from people who were terrified of them. So this, of course, is going to lead to a substantial bias on the group. If you don't understand these biases, you're not able to fully understand why sources are saying what they are, and oftentimes like the bias behind sources isn't even better, not even better, but is a very good supplemental source in and of itself. It would be very easy to argue that the Vikings wanted to destroy Christianity, but instead Fletcher is open about the lack of objective sources and states that he thinks there could be actual truth during this time period, but still expresses that he could be wrong. So he's like, hey, these sources are biased. There could be some different truth to this time period, but also that's just conjecture. And it's important to point out when things are conjecture, and I think Fletcher did a really good job of this. Being open about sourcing struggles is like this really substantiates the heavier claims in other parts of the book because the reader can be assured that the wholesome objective research was put into it. So when a historian is able to say, hey, in this instance, I might be off a little bit, it makes everything else they said in earlier spots in the book even more important, because you know that if they did have some uncertainty regarding a topic, that they're not afraid to say something about it and just make a wild assumption that really isn't based in fact.